Hi everyone, I'm AyeforScotland, and today we're jumping back into the Roottrees Are Dead. We're going to be starting the Roottreemania. You'll notice that if you've been following this series, I'm wearing the exact same thing I was in the previous video. I went and grabbed lunch in between this, and then I realised that I'd recorded the whole of the last video with me as a big person rather than down here nice and tucked away in the corner. I am really sorry for that. But yeah, enjoy Big Me in the other video. We finished the Roottrees Are Dead. We actually finished the kind of main story, but I unlocked a second one for us, which we're going to dive into. It was Roottreemania. Find out what happens to the infamous family in a whole new mystery. So we are going to jump in there. It says it will spoil unlocked content. We know what we're on about. We're going to begin, and we are going to jump into... Are you sure you want to override that save game? Yes, let's do it. The Roottrees are loading. So we have finished the main story at this point, and you can already see there's a lot more added. I wonder if it's like their kids. Oh, who the fuck is it? Wait, that's Clark!
Probably not who you expected to be knocking.
Not really, no.
It's funny sometimes. You've done well staying anonymous. It took us a while to track you down.
Oh god, we're going to be hunted by the Roottrees, aren't we?
A lot has happened in the last year. Far too much of it public. But there's stuff going on behind the scenes too. I never wanted to be president.
Oh my god, the president's Clark.
With my mother's deteriorating I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I'm not here for sympathy. I'm here because part of the fallout of Sam's book is that everyone's coming out of the woodwork.
Oh no.
Now that it's public knowledge the Clancy Trust covers any Roottrees despite their history with us, a lot of potential cousins have surfaced.
Oh.
You've seen that man on the cover of News Time. That was a disaster for us.
Okay, News Time.
Made it all about himself.
Of course, Miracle
The long and
would.
short of it is a lot of potential cousins just showed up. Sam's helping some of them, but she's not really going about it the right way. And she's not taking calls from anyone in the family. I let it slip through a mutual friend that I found you, and I was stopping in. It's manipulative, but I'm hoping she'll reach out to you. You can let her know I'm on her side. In the meantime, if you're willing, I can share our files with you.
Let's
Pass
go.
them along to Sam if she reaches out. I'm genuinely hoping she'll realize I'm an ally. Feel free to do your own research.
We love an ally.
I've been told you enjoy things like this. To each their own.
Yes, we are back in business. Let's fucking go. Previously on the Roottrees Are Dead. New investigation, new focus. After many months of newfound interest in the Roottrees, it's recommended you try to catch up with some of what's happened since last time. Some web searches may yield new or different results. Some books and magazines from your previous investigation may be relevant to your new one. It's also a much more widespread search. The list of first and last names you can choose from will contain red herrings. Not all of them will be used. Below is a reminder of some of the most notable beats of your initial dive into the Roottrees family tree. All evidence from before is still available, and for your convenience, any searches that do not lead to new information still function as they did during your first investigation. Roottrees Candy Company was founded by Eliza and Gwyneth. I feel like we're gonna get the... I'll run through these, might as well. Most of the action took place in and around Butler County, Pennsylvania. Elias, Carl and Raina were on the cover of magazines. Notable Roottrees such as Lauren Roottrees, Miracle Roottrees, Jim Roottrees had physical media like albums, books and movies. Lauren's 2 diaries were probably the most useful resources. 5 PCs Elias's children could be identified based on the initials of the original candy flavours. 5 presidents of the Roottrees Company. Stephanie Jones and Brian Jones were on campaign posters, led me to Caroline Morden's art book, which filled out more of the tree. We know Chris Raff was a person, it was a complex rabbit hole through a conspiracy site. November Roottrees was really difficult to place. Our occupation could only be found via Brian Jones's company's website. Ronald and his brother Robert Roottrees go by Ron and Robbie. Both worked for a TV show. There was that embezzlement side of things. Sam and her father were cryptically mentioned in a book about historical letters. Few dead ends and red herrings. Family Man, a book about Elias Roottrees, was propaganda. Aloysius, I think, Herring Roottrees was a Roottrees, well, claimed he was, but wasn't. Lauren's other books weren't a big thing. Caroline Morton's sculptures weren't useful. So there's a bunch of stuff there. Notable event, 6 pieces, the Roottrees Rift, Clark Rafferty LaRue, 5 Ps. Roottreemania, and Anonymom. 6 pieces. Sam Madson's books about Elias Roottree was released in February. It was a bestseller for a few months. At the time, Carol had not yet been replaced. The Roottree rift. In March, Roottrees companies stumbled publicly as they attempted to respond to the book's release. Multiple conflicting press releases, clear lack of readership. Clark was announced as the successor, welcomed Sam Madsen to the family officially. The company hired an outside legal group to handle the changes to the Clancet Trust. This included any other questions of lineage. 5 Ps. After this announcement, there was a rash of different people claiming to be Rootrees, mostly dismissed as opportunists and scammers. The highest profile of these by a wide margin was a rapper named Felix Fellows, who changed his moniker to 5 Ps as a publicity move at the same time. 5 Ps is the only notable person on the updated tree. In another high-profile misstep, Miracle Rootree publicly and vehemently denied that 5 Ps was a Rootree. Rootree's legal team then offered to do a DNA test to get 5 Ps to drop his claim, and in a moment that caught what seemed like the entire world by storm, the test proved he was actually a Rootree, and suddenly the world became obsessed with Rootrees. Anonymom and Jane Doe Rootree in July, an anonymous woman who the press began to refer to as Anonymon, appeared in interviews with her face and voice disguised. She claimed that an affair with a Rootree led to the birth of her daughter, Jane Doe Rootree. If true, this would make her daughter yet another secret Rootree and therefore entitled to her share of the Clancet Trust. Nobody knew it at the time, but this would turn out to be the latest chapter in the Roottreemania saga. As more and more of Anonymon's story came out, people began to notice how much it echoed 5 Ps in nearly every significant way. The court of public opinion began to turn, confirming the world's suspicions. The DNA test orchestrated by lawyers on both sides proved that her daughter was not a Rootree. This final event caused public disappointment, smugness from doubters, and countless accusations of the entire ordeal being an elaborate hoax or attempt at fraud. Things got a bit ugly, and the fun of Roottreemania seemed to disappear overnight. Now, a month later, it feels like a distant memory. We also have Clark. Today, August 3rd, 1999, there was a knock at your door. Clark Rafferty LaRue, the current president of the Rootree Candy Company, explained that multiple people have been coming out of woodwork. He'd been trying to work with Sam. He also handed you a letter that said you could share with Sam that said the following. To both of you, the company I hired to help us with the Clancet Trust is busy pouring through the entire family's history, as well as people that may have had contact with that said the family is not particularly happy with this and are doing their best to slow things down. Many of them are actively avoiding our interviews. Every time there's a high-profile public case, it causes headaches, so please, I don't mind if you do your research, but I ask you stop going to the press. Instead, we have a highly trained team of lawyers to back you up. We're ready and willing to verify anyone and everyone you believe could be realistically part of a relationship that led to the birth of a new Rootree. Just tell us who to investigate by filling in the new sections of the tree, and we'll take the time to handle verifying that the timeline checks out. Keep in mind why we're here. If someone didn't have a child or has already been disqualified by our lawyers, like in the case of the girl with the negative DNA test, there won't be a place for them on the tree. We're not just looking for affairs and infidelities, we're only looking for the ones that led to a potential new Rootree. Some spots in the new section will be marked with a tree icon. These areas are reserved for members of the original family tree you filled in 8 months ago. Just like last time, be sure to use birth names for everyone you add. Married names or nicknames won't be enough. To start turning out the infidelities, I recommend you turn your eyes to the men in positions of power, because of course. I'd love to say that's only because it would have been a lot harder for the woman to hide 9 months of pregnancy and birth without the family noticing, but I can't. I'll be blunt, I'm no stranger to infidelity. I wish I could claim that was the perfect husband, but you've seen the family tree, so why pretend? Some of us learned how to wield our family name and fortune to our benefit. Consequences be damned. I can't change the past or unhurt those I betrayed. Instead, all I can do is be honest with myself and to you, refuse to make any more mistakes, and do my best to sort out the various messes we've left behind. So please, fill in the tree, and together we can figure out how to make amends. Good luck, and thank you both. Clark. Right. Okay, we've got a whole new thing. Family tree update, 1998. Possible infidelity number 3. Possible infidelity number 1 and number 2. Okay, so we've got infidelity markers, we've got split ups, we've got notable people, notable events, not notable events. Okay, let's get 5 Ps to the internet. Right. God, imagine if that was still how it existed today. Right, 5Ps, let's go. 5Ps, aka Felix Fellows, is a rapper who's found some recent radio play after being publicly confirmed as a long-lost Rootree and entitled to part of their fortune. His alias 5Ps is a play on 5 pieces. An article you find on a website known for their particularly harsh reviews of modern music gives his most recent album, Root of All Evil, 1 star out of 7, for whatever reason, with the headline, More Poser Than My Action Figure Collection. The review mentions his real name is David and he used to go by Dirty Davy, and the author rues the fact that this rebranding was a blatant marketing stunt at the expense of his mother's tragic past. She overdosed when he was 16. Apparently only one of the songs on the album is new and the others were simply rewritten to turn blatant references to sex, drugs and violence into clumsy euphemisms. His rise to prominence was kick-started when he appeared a few months ago on the cover of News Time holding a photo of his mother with Guy Hudson. At first the Rootree company denied it vehemently. Miracle Rootree even appeared on the same magazine a week later, but since then they've backtracked and publicly welcomed him to the family. Okay, so News Time will be a new periodical, I'm guessing. And we're going to go with... I'll start with 5Ps. There we go. So we've got 5Ps, Felix Fellows. Could this rapper be the next Sam Madsen? 5Ps, aka Felix Fellows, appeared on the cover holding a photo of his mother. Can't click on that. Story was dramatic and sensational, initially dismissed as a fake, but it was then linked. 5Ps says that his mother Joanna was Zach Morden's secretary when he retired, and then Guy Hudson's secretary for only 1 or 2 weeks after that before she quit. The first few weeks that he was president. His parents divorced when he was 4 after his father learned of the affair. Felix and his mother then moved to Portland because she was afraid for her and her son's life. He grew up with her until he was 16, but one day his mother never came home from the movie rental store where she worked the register. Next morning they found her dead from an overdose in her car. She'd stolen all of the cash from her drawer and spent it on heroin. As Felix went through her belongings, the only things he had to remember her by were a hairbrush she always used, some photos and a stuffed animal from her childhood, but then he found a box hidden in the back of her closet. Inside were love letters and photos related to Guy Hudson, as well as a letter from his father containing threats. He threw it all away with the exception of the one photo he appears with on the cover of News Time. He says it was the only one where they were dressed. Great. The only one not from the affair itself. The picture is shown in full inside the magazine and was added to your evidence. Okay, cool, we've got that. Magazine also includes some additional history about 5P's career. He was born to Riley and Joanna Fellows, but has never rapped without a moniker. He tried to find success by opening for other artists and even selling CDs on street corners in Portland. He's recently started going as 5P's to harness the power of his lineage. Writer did some research into the truth of these claims and was able to confirm that Joanna did work for the Rootree company as a secretary. Sometime during the early to mid-70s, it also confirmed she died of a drug overdose and that Felix went into foster care. They were unable to track down the father. He also reached out to the Rootree company. At the moment, the company's blanket statement was, since the release of a recent book, Rootree has seen an overwhelming number of false ancestral claims. None have been factual and nearly all have been knowingly dishonest. We encourage individuals to reach out to us in an official capacity as opposed to attempting to use our name in the media for publicity. Is that Rootree family picnic t-shirt? Amazing. So she was Zach Morden's secretary, but then bumped into Guy Hudson, who she had an affair with, and then there's fucking Miracle. I'm just making sure I've got all that. So before I dump into Miracle here, he's the only notable person, I believe. So if I go back to here, 5P's is the only gold star. So this is 5P's here. And we need to. So his name was David. What was the surname? It's interesting they've changed it slightly as well. So what was his fucking mother's name? It was actually Fellows, okay. Riley and Joanna. So here we've got Riley Fellows. Yeah, hang on a wee second here. Let's get this right. The review mentions his real name is David. Yeah. So we've got Joanna Bellows, who... See, the thing is, she was a secretary. And then we've got Guy Hudson, who was third president? Was he third or fourth? No, he was third. Man, fucking Guy Hudson, the mad shagger. Here, there and everywhere. So we need 4 people. Like, official, stamped people. Okay, let's read Miracle's one. So this is old Miracle Rootree, right? So he vehemently denied that 5Ps was a Rootree. The article was from before the DNA test that proved it. Miracle doesn't focus much on the details of 5P's accusations regarding his mother and Guy Hudson. Instead, he comes across as exhausted at the events that have been going on behind the scenes. Yeah, as well as character of those he feels are attacking his family. He starts with 6 pieces content. He says that although most of the book was based in fact, it left out anything that wouldn't fit the agenda. He points out Sam's daughter still earns a generous salary for overseeing the farm division of Rootree, and that Sam did the same before her. That Sam's family was not destitute, and that really it was only her son who chose to take on a job with no salary. He claims that though they didn't have to, the family helped pay for her son's medical bills after voting that it was the right thing to do. Miracle also says that the story about his father, Elias, shunning EC was one-sided, leaving out Edward Clancy's blame in the whole thing. Elias gave him a simple ultimatum: stop sinning or be disowned. Miracle says it was EC's own choice, and that Elias allowed him to earn food and shelter on the company's dime was a kindness, although especially considering that he and John continued to live together. Miracle then pivots to the fallout from 6 pieces. He recounts a deluge of claims to the Clancy Trust and the family that has been the family have been subjected to. Doesn't cite any specifics, but says that every time someone comes forward, the family devolves into arguments. They had to hire an outside legal team to help. So far, every case has been demonstrably, laughably false. All they do is tarnish his family's reputation. He focuses on 5Ps who appeared on News Time before him. He calls him a grifter and a delinquent, and says he's using their name and products to sell filth to the masses. Of all the accusations, he says this is the most dangerous because it exposes the world to hatred. He cites 5P's lyrics as violent, sexist and ungodly, and prays the boy will repent, retract his lies and find religion. Lastly, he turns to the future. Miracle states that those that wish to hear the true story can join him on his farewell tour this upcoming fall. Funny that. The Miracles Rootree are planning on touring the country's churches one last time, and that now at the age of 71, Miracle is the oldest living Rootree. While he plans to continue preaching at his own church in Butler County after the tour, this is your last chance to hear the truth from the man with the most complete recollection of one of America's most notable families in your own hometown. Article mentions that Miracle's son, Miracle Jr., did not wish to comment, and has a statement from Clark Rafferty LaRue through the Rootrees law firm. Miracle does not speak for his entire family. We're working carefully on a plan to definitively disprove any claims of infidelity in our family's past. The article also does not refute Miracle's claim that he's the oldest living Rootree, despite Sam Madsen being born the year before him. It's unclear if Miracle made the claim out of ignorance or spite. Probably both. Okay. So let's just check out Roottreemania. Okay, 5Ps. Daytime talk shows had I'm a Secret Rootree episodes. That's fun. Late night hosts and guests make jokes about other lost members of the family. It was widely shared website where you could fill in your own name to find out if you were a secret Rootree. When you submitted your name, it simply said no with an image of Clark Rafferty LaRue giving you the finger. That's amazing. I kind of want to look that up. Roottreemania lasted only a few weeks, just long enough for 6 pieces to re-enter the charts and to trigger new printings of other Roottreemania. This included Lauren's diaries, VHS releases of Gwen's old movies, as well as other countless unauthorised biographies which mostly seemed to attempt to capitalise on the Roottrees sisters, Carol and Brenda. These re-releases were too late to successfully capitalise on or extend the craze. As a result, most of them were failures. Countless novelty shots that had variations of I'm a Secret Rootree became immediately unfashionable, though some people still wear them some people still wear them ironically. Nice. No! Devastating. I wanted to see Clark Rafferty LaRue giving me the finger. Let's go for... I mean, 6 pieces is maybe a good shout. So that will be Samantha Madsen? Sam Madsen? Is it under? She didn't take the name, did she? Sam Madsen's book was released earlier this year, details the truth about Elias Roottree as well as Sam's fathers, Edward Clancy Roottree and John Miller. He helped verify her story, so much of the book's core contents are familiar to you. That said, Sam had some sections on other family secrets and rumours. Much of it didn't matter to the primary purpose of the book, and some of it is new to you and may be important to your search. Nice, let's go. Okay. Sam's book has a few different passages about her own history with the company and the rumours and gossip she collected during that tenure. She ran the farm for a period starting around 1968 after the death of Elias Roottree until her daughter Gwyneth took over in 1984. Most of the relevant rumours coincide with the reign of Guy Hudson, who took over as president in 1978. Sam was very much not a fan of Guy, and according to 6 Pieces, it was an open secret within the family that Guy was very much not a fan of remaining faithful to his wife Patricia. Many of their hires at the time were young single women, and Guy often spent a lavish amount of money on private parties. This was 20 years ago. Sam warns that most of it is hearsay. Still, you find the following information that may be relevant. One of Sam's farm supervisors was named Elizabeth. Elizabeth had a daughter who Sam never met, but who worked as one of Guy's secretaries. According to Elizabeth, a caterer from a local restaurant called Antonelli's met her daughter. According to Elizabeth, a caterer from Antonelli's met her daughter at one of Guy's parties. They eloped quickly due to pregnancy. Elizabeth wasn't aware that the party was for swingers. Rumour has it that her daughter showed up with Guy and didn't seem comfortable switching partners. Oh, that's a fucking mess right there. Guy's main positive contribution to the company involved expanding to markets previously untapped by Roottree. However, when he went on trips overseas, they were often for weeks at a time, and Guy was known for spending more time and money on unofficial business than meeting with distributors and manufacturers. He said that he bribed at least one politician to open a factory in Brazil. Also a section where Sam speculates that Elias may have also cheated on Gwyneth. Gwyneth was always much kinder to Sam than Elias was, and was the first to invite Sam to family events. While she had no hard evidence, Sam always got the impression that Gwyneth was able to coerce Elias into allowing Sam back into the family using some kind of leverage, instead of it being a natural course of events. She mentioned that Elias and Gwyneth were known to loudly argue, sometimes about another woman. Sam also says her son Ernie once asked who's Beth because he overheard them yelling about someone with that name. As far as Sam knows, Elias once had a secretary named Elizabeth, a different Elizabeth in the supervisor. Oh, fucking Jesus. Okay. So that's that Elias. Or it's that Elias. No, because it was Gwyneth. So fuck. So possible infidelity here would be Elias. Who was president, and someone called Beth, Elizabeth, Mary Beth, fuck, don't know. Okay. Yep, we know about the evidence side of things. Who's Beth? Could always look up Antonelli's, I suppose. maybe we go for the Butler County Times. Antonelli's is an Italian restaurant. It's been in the Butler County Times twice. Most recent time is when it closed. The owner, Rochelle Zimmer, sold the land the building was on, and at the time of the article she was unsure if the restaurant would move to a new location. Many years before that, there was a puff piece from Valentine's Day 1978. They asked recently married residents of Butler County how they met. Christine Garland responded she and her husband Steve, who was a chef at Antonelli's, met years ago when she delivered produce from her mother's farm. Steve used to work extra hours just to be there during her deliveries. Although they grew apart when the restaurant switched suppliers, they reconnected by chance and eloped at the end of last year. Now she has a bun in the oven, and they're both working as much as they can. She's a secretary but went to delivering produce on the weekends. Okay, so there is a potential... this is tricky, man. First affair through to the final affair. Okay. Christine Garland. Okay, it's just that. Rochelle Zimmer. Rochelle and her husband Mark Zimmer have few mentions in the Butler County Times. Rochelle owned Antonelli's, an Italian restaurant. Mark owned a local bookstore called Bookmarks. Both closed in 1992. Mark was also mentioned once in Butler County Times when he was sued by Steve Garland. Okay. Bookmarks appeared many times. Advertisements. Lauren Roottrees did a book signing there in 1970. So... Shit. So if I'm going to go with Stephen Garland here, we don't really have photos of anyone yet. We need to find more. The Roottrees Rift, we've got 6 pieces. Let's go with the Roottrees Rift. Three press releases from the Roottrees Candy Company after the release of 6 pieces were referred to as the Roottrees Rift. First was fairly standard, stated there was no president of Roottrees Company. Entire family was made aware of the release of the book and that they'd be meeting as soon as possible. Only then could they verify the legitimacy of the claims it raised and decide next steps. Second release was emailed to business newspapers 3 hours later and announced that after a vote, Ron Roottrees would be taking over temporarily as interim president. Also went on to state that Ron was aware of the book, had verified the claims within, and would look into compensating Mrs. Madsen and her family immediately. Also stated the company's lawyers would be taking immediate steps with the family to revisit the Clancy Trust terms to make sure nothing like that could happen again. It was quickly clear to business reporters and analysts that the time between the 2 press releases would not have been logistically sufficient to gather a majority of the family, even using conference calls. This was reported on many news channels, and a third, much shorter press release came the next day, claimed that a draft of the announcement was made prematurely, and that Clark Rafferty LaRue and Ron Roottrees would be taking over as the company's first joint presidents. Also stated that any compensation plans would be based on stringent verification. Okay, so might as well look up Clark, see what he's been up to. Clark. It's from Clark Rafferty LaRue. I'll just copy and paste that. New president of the Roottrees Corporation. This does not include Root, which appears to have its own leadership. Okay, so they're sharing, and then that was transitional and Ron basically left. Okay. He's tried to remain out of the spotlight. Did have one notable foray into the public eye. He gained a lot of support when his first move was a statement in favour of accepting Sam and her family into the trust. This also served as an announcement that Clancy Trust would no longer be handled by anyone in the family, since due to their financial motivation, none of them could ever be impartial. Okay. So, I'm kind of interested to find out what happened to Root. Small memorial section to the deceased members. Most recent catalogue had an entirely black cover. You learn that Root is currently managed by a designer who is apparently Brenda White's second in command. You don't recognise her name and she seems unrelated. There's a scholarship page. On it you find information about the Sisters Fashions Scholarship. 3 underprivileged high school girls each year who wish to pursue a career in fashion. Apparently it also gives them an opportunity to show off their designs on professional models on a real runway. According to the site, the fund was created directly from shares that would have contributed to the inheritance of the Roottrees sisters if they were still alive. It's managed by Ruby Legal Enterprises, who are now also managing the Clancy Trust. Interesting. They've been hired. The company is named after its head lawyer, Ruby Spratt. I realise, back to notes. Oh god. Ha! American school terms. K-12 stands for kindergarten to 12th grade. Cool. That makes so much more sense now. Cool. Okay, we're going to chuck Ruby Spratt in there. We're also going to chuck in Ruby Legal Enterprises. Nice. Can't find much about the company. After Fiasco's 6 Species, the revelation that the Roottrees' internal law group was complicit in a cover-up, they hired outside counsel. Who's Cicely Sanchez? Cicely Sanchez? Okay, hang on. I'm gonna basically copy these chunks in. Okay, so according to the site about authors, Cicely is known for her non-fiction. She appeared in a magazine called Picotee with an article about a book she'd been commissioned to write for Guy Hudson. Magazine and Cicely herself were immediately issued a cease and desist due to its inclusion of pictures that she never had the rights to publish. The issue was pulled from store shelves, making an instant collector's item. Okay, so Picotee is where we're going. We'll also look up the books, but... what's her name again? Cicely Sanchez. An issue that focused on talking toy fish and the demonic messages is supposedly said as the batteries ran low. They had an article about a cancelled book by Cicely Sanchez. Book subject was Guy Hudson and it contained pictures that she did not have the rights to publish. Because of the pictures, the issue was pulled from store shelves, making it subject of some conspiracies. Instant collector's item. Damn it. We're not gonna get access to it, are we? Basel Bob. Good God. Right, I'm also going to look up our books before we continue. So let's do that, get the notes out. Portrait of a Changed Man. I wonder who that was about. Cicely Sanchez. Out of print. What if everything you stand for, everything you know to be true, could disappear in an instant? All your politics, relationships, gone in the blink of an eye. Would you still be you? It tells the powerful true story about a man who woke up after being saved from drowning in his backyard pool and became an entirely different person. Okay, maybe not something we care about. Foreign Gospel tells the tale of a man from the Catholic Church who claims he was told by God he could travel to Thailand and began to preach, specifically with the goal to convert 10,000 people. He returned to the United States after just over 2 years, claiming to have succeeded. This book tells the version of the story, but the author, Cicely Sanchez, also travelled to Thailand to investigate these claims and talk with some of the so-called converted. Okay, so she's like an investigative author. Okay, Piketty. Issue of Piketty magazine that contained an article about Cicely Sanchez, about the book. She'd used photos and received a cease and desist. Magazine was pulled from shelves. The version you found in your periodic search had the relevant pages removed, rendering this magazine useless. Great. So, is there a variation of this magazine that does have it? It'd be nice if I knew what the book was called. It'd be funny if it was in the library. Okay. Let's maybe just look up Felix Fellows. We're gonna look up the root of all evil. According to various sources, the album's mostly material that he recorded for his mixtapes before he became notable. He re-recorded with lyrical differences in professional production. We're gonna have to look up this. Bet you'll be a banger. Celebrity lawyer Stevie Whitlock to sue his family. To date, it doesn't seem like he's followed through. At first, the single didn't make much of a splash, but Whitlock, known for her publicity stunts, paid thousands of teenagers a few dollars an hour to call and request the video on MTV, which increased its profile. They eventually caught on and banned the video altogether. The track is the only new song on the album. Subject matter of the song is the hypocrisy of those that claim money is evil. He points out that the only people who think money is evil are those that have it, those that can afford to not be greedy. In the song 5 P's Triumphant talks about taking the Roottrees' wealth due to it being his birthright and giving it to those most in need. Find a copy of the song on a suspicious looking website and download it. Oh, tunes, let's go.
Attention, Roottrees.
Holy shit. This is amazing.
Real world. You know, the place you ain't ever lived in.
You say money is the root of all your problems.
Holy shit, this is incredible.
Root of all your
Man, y'all are hypocrites, sitting back in your massive estates, built from the cash that your ancestors gave you, acting like you somehow deserve it, based on your family's creations. Yo,
There's gonna be something in here, eh?
you should come for our money, or you might burn bright in hellfire someday, like that Madsen chick and her two dads. My pappy's classic trust should keep you away. Yo, it's disturbing, catching a sermon from a geezer.
It's a diss track for Miracle, that's amazing.
That somehow we're sinners because we didn't earn it. When all of your work that came free with your name, you expect me to treat your lectures on greed as some expert creed from heat
Okay.
without blame. But instead, I turn my other cheeks and spread them. When you give me a kiss, you'll know just where to aim.
Amazing.
money is the root of all your problems.
Holy shit, this is a fucking... Holy fuck, okay.
Problems away.
Whoever caused dollars, the root of all evil, just trying to make small pursuits of real people. You silver spoon feeds you the world's
This won't get DMCA'd, right?
world folks burning spoons for the needle. So once more with passion, tell this poor tragic orphan how your mansions and Porsches are actually horrible. How I'm better off penniless, grasping for morsels. I wanted my share. That's actually extortion. With your candy ass name, synonymous with sweets. Oh, you wanna call me classless? I'm gangster from Portland, but I play that game. I came up on the streets, the only streets you reppin' are Park Place and Boardwalk. Hypocrisy, monopoly is toppling.
This is weirdly decent. In a great way.
To steal my mom from me is what he wants, right? You to live in poverty, and if you're suddenly not eager to unhand that fortune, that's unfortunate. I guess I'm gonna have to take my portion, and I'll do it all legally. Class action, courtroom, decorum. I'm way past your fancy ass dormant.
You say money is the root of all your problems. Let me
I've noticed there's not actually a... like a magnifying glass thing.
money is the root of all
There's... The only thing that I can maybe grasp from that's the Madsen chick, but that's Sam.
Whoever caused dollars, the root of all evil, just trying to make
Okay, this is just, yeah, the same. We might as well listen to the end.
real world folks burning spoons for the needle. Whoever caused dollars, the root of all evil, just trying to make small pursuits of real people. You silver spoon feeds, you're the world's purest treacle, while real world folks burning spoons for the needle. Whoever caused dollars.
Banger. I am a 5Ps stan. That did not advance our cause, but... Okay. I'm struggling to find the evidence in these sections. Like, it says 8 there, but Vassell Bub? Like... We're supposed to get 8 things from this. Unless, hold on. Keep on getting lost, right. Pickety, we're gonna go with Roottrees here. Nothing. Nothing. Eight things on the back of that. Okay. The final affair. This Guy Hudson. Jesus, man. He's got a million children. Right, we're going back to this. Let's have a look at Anonymom. Even though it was kind of proved to not be a thing. Instead of claiming herself a Rootree, she claimed she slept with Guy Hudson and that her daughter was a Rootree. The accusation came during the height of Roottreemania and began with a brief TV interview. She disguised her voice. The name Anonymon was not self-inflicted, sprung up organically. The day after the Newstime article, Sam Madsen publicly supported Anonymom. Right, so let's take this. Cool, there's a lot to write there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up Newstime and I'm going to use this. There we go. Anonymous woman appeared on the cover of Newstime holding a picture of her daughter Jane Doe Rootree. First and only mention of the phrase Anonymom in Newstime came the week after, when they issued an apology for featuring her in the first place. So if I type in Anonymom there... Okay, so we've got... we've got something. It's determined through a DNA test that Anonymom's daughter was not a Rootree. This article, which did not refer to her daughter as Jane Doe Rootree... Sorry, which did refer to her daughter as Jane Doe Rootree, but did not coin the phrase Anonymom, came before all that, right around the time of her first TV interview. Anonymous woman appeared on the cover of Newstime shortly after 5Ps was confirmed to be a member. In an homage to the previous cover, she holds a photo of her daughter. Unlike 5Ps, she wished to remain anonymous, and both photos were obscured. The anonymous woman claimed to have had an affair with Guy Hudson while she was working as his secretary. She and another woman were hired at the same time during a transition period, while many of the secretaries that had worked under Zach Morden were already gone. She says that she and the other woman were both underqualified and neither had typewriter experience. According to other staff members interviewed, Guy had his own requirements for hiring women. He liked to throw lavish parties. The longer he was president, the more excuses he found. The anonymous woman posits that these parties mostly seem to be an excuse to have after parties at Guy's home, featuring much more alcohol and other substances. She claims she slept with him at one of these parties. She confronted Guy when she found out she was pregnant. Guy didn't seem fazed, and they came to an arrangement. He paid her a significant amount of hush money on a recurring basis under the table. She used it to move away and start a new life with her daughter. When Guy died, the money stopped coming and she assumed things had run their course. She went back to work at the department store and hoped that nobody would ever look too closely at how she paid for her house. She told everyone that her daughter's father walked out one day and never came back. She claimed that after seeing that fantastic article in News Time, she realised that she wasn't the only one this happened to. While she never worked at the Roottrees company at the same time as 5P's mother, Joanna, the story seemed eerily similar and she knew Felix was telling the truth right away. The article presented no tangible evidence of the anonymous woman's time at Roottrees, and all of the payments were allegedly made in cash. However, using details that she provided to News Time, the reports were able to reach out to the other women hired at the same time, who also remained anonymous. They successfully fact-checked the timeline of both women and confirmed the existence of the infamous after-parties. 5P's case was strengthened, and this news story was subsequently published. So there is another woman that didn't work alongside 5P's mother, and potentially also had a kid. But that does not help me. I'm trying to think what else is really here. Right, where's my notes at? Ruby Spratt? She's relatively elusive. The most complete source of information you can find from before her time with the Roottrees is from the website for a magazine owned by a major airline. She was the subject of one article from a recurring series about modern day success stories. She excelled at school, got a scholarship at Mid-Eastern University, class action lawsuit against manufacturer of steering wheel covers, local gas station chain. The rollout of a promotion allowed gas station customers the ability to bet on the price of gas. Love it here. Blub ends by calling her new firm a double threat. Her company's services are a cross between traditional lawyer and PR manager. Okay. I mean, that's good and all, but doesn't help me. Six PCs. Holy shit, this is like way harder to nail down because I've still got 4 to get. Okay, so you can flip between oldest and latest. I think I did get that full book in my evidence, but I don't think I copied that full thing into the public library. Reviews were mixed. Fallout from the book. Indecisionitis. Might as well look that up. Fake pharmaceutical In a sketch, a woman ordered a number 5 at a drive-through speaker, then after pulling forward she changed her mind at the window, asking to switch it to number 3. Was a lengthy backup. After she pulled away, the same woman then barged into the restaurant and passed the current line, loudly complaining she didn't receive her number 5. Jet together. Got to get my jet together. What the fuck is happening? Okay. I mean, this just seems like whatever. Fuck. It's like I don't have I can't review. Like, I mean, I've obviously got all the old evidence and stuff, like medical, for example. Like, I can't place miracle anywhere unless it's like... There's like there's not an additional photo for miracle. There is ones for Chris. Okay. Maybe we go into, let's see, Business Watch. So the new one, Clark Raffet, as well as Ruby Stratton's company Ruby Legal Enterprises were featured. Ruby actually approached the Roottrees sometimes in late March. She offered to work for little money. Ruby came to the conclusion that Clancy Edwards' Roottrees implementation was not legally sound. There would be constant legal challenges without some modifications. Okay. None of this helps. Like, none of this helps at all. I can't believe I'm not nailed down these either. Nothing. Come on. It does say start here, but I feel like I've looked up everything here. Maybe go back to Anonymum. Joint press conference used by lawyers. Each party ensured the respective clients provided accurate samples. Many people suspected the whole affair of being a hoax to gain fame and money. Roottrees' company felt pressure to put out a second statement to try and curb some of the backlash. Though it was scientifically proven that Jane Doe Roottrees is not a Roottrie, that doesn't mean that her mother and Guy Hudson were not involved in an affair. She had every right to make her claim. It has been verified that her stories about Guy Hudson were not exaggerations. Many people claim this high-profile anticlimax and public backlash was the beginning of the end of Roottreemania, since much of the fun was the shared fascination about secret Roottrees. Others think, like any other fad, it ran its course naturally, became a notable event. Jane Doe Roottree has already been eliminated as a potential new Roottree by the company's lawyers. Anonymous affair does not appear on your updated tree, which is fine. I still feel is there something to the secret Rootrees angle? There's nothing to be found on that. Really? Let's look up Guy Hudson. The mad shagger Guy Hudson. Few people that existed adjacent to the company in the 70s have come forward with stories about debauchery and swinger parties. What fun. The fact has led some people to speculate the night he died in a car crash he was drunk or impaired in some way. They've released multiple statements saying there was no foul play. Issue that focuses on a talking toy fish. Book subject. Fuck. I did not expect this to be so long. If I can get like one other person booked in, that'd be great. Which you would think would be surrounding 5p's. is the maybe Modern Music Monthly, nothing was found. What about Felix Follows? In Modern Music Monthly, really? Fuck. Dirty Davy, let's go with that. David Fellows, Dirty Davy was his previous stage name. Dirty Devil was 5Bz's first mixtape, released as Dirty Davy from the early 90s. Discrepancies and debates about what year exactly. It was released based on some of the pop culture references with range between 1992 and 94. Yes, I Can Jump, okay, it was at the centre of the confusion. Some fan sites claim there are multiple versions with different track lists and song lengths on them. Okay. In it, he references a popular movie from 1982, White Men Can't Jump. This reference has caused some confusion among the fanbase because it was agreed upon the mixtape had to come out in 1982 at the earliest. Others point out that Fellows references seeing the movie on his 17th birthday, which would have been in 1984. Some take this to mean that the album had to have been released in 1984 at the earliest. Others claim he was likely just trying to make himself sound older, since in response to some of the more questionable lyrics, he has stated multiple times that he was just a dumb kid when it was released. Okay. What about Dirt Poor? A lot of online discourse from people who like to point out that in one of the songs, Felix Fellows includes someone that would be revealed to be his own distant cousin, Raina, in a list of attractive women. Oh no! Lyrics to one of the songs, Heat, mentions a few different prominent female actresses and models and musicians from the 90s, provides a crude pun or line about what Fellows felt about them. But when re-released in 1999, much of the rhetoric was toned down to be less overtly profane. Line referencing Raina was clumsily replaced by Dana, a reference to the character from X-Files. Amazing. What is the point if we cannot listen to them though? Fuck. I mean, I suppose we can explore what Miracle Rootree. Lives a long and fruitful life. Oh yeah, there's like a last chance to see him. Okay, we'll go to that. What was the thing it was called? Miracle Jr. did not wish to comment. The Miracles Rootree. Fucking hell. Miracle Jr. Nothing hasn't been updated in at least 8 months. Fuck. Why is this so much harder than the other one? Holy shit. Miracle is the oldest living Rootree. I mean, that doesn't seem to fucking mean anything. Nope. Zach Morden, maybe? Really? Riley and Joanna Fellows, so I was correct I think on that side. I don't know what the other infidelity is supposed to be, but if there's one I'll be back in this time. It's weird that I don't have in like Can I get another Elias photo? Okay. Right. They were never really celebrities. General public perception of them as classic faces associated with the Roottrees Candy Company had high regards. Then 6 pieces came out, placed much less of an emphasis on Elias as a historical brand-connected figure. But there have also been those who have argued that it was his right to decide how to split his inheritance, that he did nothing wrong. First, Anderson Maple Farm only used to be a popular tourist attraction during the summer months. Now it's got an explosion of off-season businesses. Some religious and political groups decide to visit to show support for Elias and Gwyneth's traditional values and financial rise. This rise in support was in turn followed by pickets from gay rights activists when some particularly inflammatory organisations made their pilgrimages. Amongst all this conflict, the farm has since been shut down, seemingly indefinitely. Website says check back later. The quotes from Bess Williams' book appears to have taken down. Damn. Okay. That's another kind of dead end though. Fuck. And I'm supposed to somehow manage to get 8 things off this. So looking at Piketty, I've got nothing there. Nothing on 5Ps, even though this is supposed to be popular culture. Motherfucker. I've been typing in Clark Rafferty LaRue. Why? Because his name's just Clark Rafferty. Where was there was a bit of evidence somewhere, fuck. Yeah, Clark Rafferty LaRue. Why is that? He was only Clark Rafferty previously. I mean, I'm guessing he just decided to double barrel his name. This is tough going. Was there not a... Okay. Gone is any history focused on Elias Rootree. Site seems to focus on the present status of their candy offerings. Small ads for Root. Small section at the bottom lists the president as Clark Rafferty LaRue. Short bio mentions he was responsible for some of their marketing. A small memorial. For those that perished in the crash, including Roottrees sisters, Carl and Brenda. Who the hell are all these people? Who the fuck is Kurt Johnson? They were the pilot and co-pilot, okay. Trish King was on the cabin crew. Elizabeth Nicholson, who went by Eliza, lived in a house with her family about 200 yards from the section of the woods where the plane crashed. She reportedly had a heart attack during the commotion. Jeez. Okay. Right, well, let's go Clark, Raffer, Taylor, Rue then. So what happened with Ron Rootree then? Because he was announced as president during the Rootree rift, and the next press release immediately reversed the announcement and instead stated that Ron and Clark would be taking over. A few weeks later, Ron was then dropped. Hundreds of results about this development, some veer into heavy speculation based on an article about Ron in Business Watch. 3 weeks ago, Ron's mother Gwen died in Paris, France. He and his brother Robbie have seemingly made amends. Ron had also been doing some interviews saying that the truth of what went on behind the scenes is not something he wishes to discuss. Hopes to release a movie about it someday. Okay, so Ron in Business Watch, let's go. Business Watch, Ron. Business Watch ran an article out 2 months after the Rootree rift about what really happened with Rootree. The article mentions that nobody from Rootree that they reached out to was willing to go on record. Instead, the timeline of events is being constructed from public record, accidental leaks, and a source on the inside. The only parts that are new to you are also the most vague parts, the ones supposedly confirmed by their anonymous source. It says the family actually held a preliminary vote after Carl Rootree died, but before the release of 6 pieces, and decided they wanted Ron Rootree to take over because of his experience running RR Productions, but because he was well known and well respected. Ron seemed way too eager and personally motivated. They were worried he would gut the Clansed Trust to remove Robbie Rootree. The family was notoriously unwilling to do anything that could risk their wealth. They stalled, and Ron became frustrated with the delay. When 6 pieces came out, he saw his chance to force action, while the family was in the limelight, and released the press release himself in an attempt to get the ball rolling faster. This caused chaos within the family. They tried to save face by allowing Ron to take over as co-president with Clark. According to Business Watch's source, Ron was impossible to deal with. He seemed like he was unwilling to protect the Clansed Trust, and they let him go. After that, the role passed solely to Clark, who nobody was excited about but seemed like the safest choice. I mean, don't get me wrong, that is good information to fill in the blanks, but I feel like I have not found fucking anything to do with this. Jesus. Nothing. Nada. Okay, back to this. Sam's farmer's supervisors was named Elizabeth. Elizabeth had a daughter who Sam never met, who worked as one of Guy's secretaries. According to Elizabeth, a caterer from a local restaurant called Antonelli's. Okay. Elizabeth had a daughter who worked as one of Guy's secretaries. A caterer from a local restaurant called Antonelli's met the daughter at one of Guy's parties, and they eloped quickly due to pregnancy. It was a swinger party. The daughter had showed up with Guy and didn't seem comfortable switching partners. But one of the guys, she wasn't comfortable switching partners at a swingers party. But so why the fuck did they elope? Why did they elope? She either wasn't comfortable switching partners. I like to think that if she wasn't comfortable, she didn't do it, or no one forced her to do it. So her and Guy, she got pregnant via Guy and then eloped with what, this random caterer? It does not make sense to me at all. Does this guy, Stephen Garland, did he just step up? Elias may have cheated on Gwyneth. Who's Beth? Elias once had a secretary named Elizabeth, a different Elizabeth. Ah, fuck. So that's Elias Jr. He was an architect, I think. No, what the fuck? I'm getting proper thrown off here. If it was 1921, it would have been fucking old fuck central over here. And I don't have a photo for him though. I don't have a new photo for him. I don't know where to get it. And it doesn't seem like I can reuse old photos. Guy Hudson parties. No. So we've found Antonelli's. Christine Garland. But we don't have her. Can I look up Christine Garland? She delivered produce from her mother's farm. Fuck. I don't know where I'm getting these fucking photos from. But I think that could be the second affair, potentially. Unless it's the third. That doesn't help either. There's like one thread that I need to pull on here and it will unravel like a whole fucking bunch. At least from an elimination perspective. Just look up Sam Madsen, maybe. Reviews were mixed, blah blah blah. Let's go back to the Rootree Rift, I guess. Okay, we figured all this out. Just because it's in quotation marks doesn't mean it means anything. Okay, so we've got that. None of that means anything. Is there anything in Roottreemania, maybe? I'll go back to that. Yep. Nothing there. No. Okay. New printings of Lauren's diaries. I mean, if it's just new printings, it's not going to have new information, unauthorised biographies, t-shirts. I am actually fucking deep fried here. What the fuck? I don't think there's much more else on the 5Ps kind of saga. Maybe look up Stevie Whitlock. Stevie Whitlock's a lawyer, history of publicity stunts and grandstanding, picked up quite a few legal victories. Famous in the 1980s, sued a multinational sandwich company whose 12-inch subs were actually 11.5. Argued that since the company sold 1 billion sandwiches per year, that was enough missing sandwich to make a sub long enough to span from New York to LA. Jury awarded a paltry $5,000. Incredible. Nothing for MTV. Yeah, Steve Garland versus Mark Zimmer. What if it's just Steve Garland, Mark Zimmer? What if it's just Steve Garland? What if it's just Mark Zimmer? There we go, nice. Kitchen Tales was a story-based recipe book credited to Mark Zimmer that had some success after it was featured on a morning talk show. Book released before the internet was widespread, so mentions are rare. One book collector states that the publishers were unprepared for the demand. There was no second printing, so it's unusual to find a copy in the wild. Found an alternative medicine website which focuses on cooking natural ingredients and mentions that one of the Kitchen Tales recipes uses salt water. The owner of the site has included a scan of that recipe. If you switch out the salt water in the recipe for a mix of 2/3 spring water and 1/3 filtered seawater, it tastes great. What? Okay, so let's go for fucking... What, Kitchen Tales by Mark Zimmer? I mean, I'm guessing that's what we're reading there, but... A recipe that contains stories. Okay, you might be able to glean some. Okay. How to bake the plated loaf. For 2 years, bakers Flora and Yates flirted. They grew their friendship, compared recipes and combined knowledge. She loved his salt and pepper beard. He adored her rosemary cheeks. They thought sweetly about one another. But he was one day whisked away, conscripted to bake the army's bread. By the oil of the lamp, Flora's tears began to salt her bread. Jesus fucking Christ. The recipe asks for ready flour, yeast, sugar, olive oil and rosemary combined with salt and water together. It was 10-12 years later that they met again, seemingly by fate. Flora's unique dough had earned her a position as the king's personal baker. Yates had found success as well. He baked for the kingdom's 45 diplomats. One day they returned from the Dutch Isles with a gift. 450 unbaked loaves were sent to the palace bakery to teach a method that required no kneading. For fuck's sake. Upon seeing Yates, Flora was both delighted and distraught. She felt as if she was torn in two. She had not been made aware of the gift and had already prepared buns for the palace ovens. She wished to greet Yates warmly, but was struck by fears that he'd be unable to bake with her, that she'd face retribution for being unprepared. She cried to Yates, adding more salt to her dough. Yates eased her pain. He insisted she had no obligation to prepare for a return she thought impossible, but he shared her fear of retribution. He knew if they did not solve her predicament, missed their final chance to bake together. In the end, instead of wallowing in the present, they worked together to shape the future. They twisted and entwined their doughs and baked them as one. This was the plated loaf. Words quickly spread of this new delight. The king's degree on royal parchment is that it would be considered a delicacy. Bankrolled by the king, Flora and Yates spent their days baking together. They travelled for 45 years, then settled down for 15 more. Their souls were golden with no regrets. Yeah? Fuck. I feel like there's going to be so much more of this kind of like thread pulling. All I wanted was a fourth person. I was looking for a fourth, and I've been denied it. Cicely Sanchez. She was gonna write that book. She didn't get to write that book. The Bicotti fucking magazine doesn't allow me to look at the pages.
3 hours later.
Right, come on. Fuck. So we're going. What are we doing? We're not doing anything. We're fucked. Right, 5p's. Wait, what else can I grab from 5p's? It still says there's 2. Like, we go. Is there any? Let's see, 5p's in Piccadilly? Nothing. Bartlett's defunct. Silver Screen is defunct. Newstime Modern Music Monthly's defunct. Fuck. Teen Blast? Would there be anything about 5p's in Teen Blast? Okay, there is. He's popular and attractive enough that even though his music's not targeted towards teen girls, they are paying attention anyways. While he hasn't done any interviews with the magazine, they've listed him amongst the hunky hotties for the past few months with a small bio with various facts. Includes his real name, David, his birthday, 1977, his star sign, Aquarius, and where he grew up, foster care in Portland. Letter to the editor also claims that it's not possible he was born in 1977, as he claimed on a song called 17 Magazine he turned 17 in 1992. The editor responds with a statement that they've reached out to his agent to ask about the song, were told it wasn't performed by 5p's and they shouldn't spread rumours. I'm gonna have to look up the music. I just want to hear more of 5p's, to be honest. Fuck. What about in here? 17 Magazine, sometimes referred to as 17 Magazine, is the title of an unreleased and controversial song by Dirty Davy. There's mentions of it on a few sites claiming it was the first release of the first mixtape, but was removed. There's no audio or visual evidence of it existing. There are independent accounts from people who have claimed to have heard it, and they do generally line up. According to the recollection, is about many different loosely connected occurrences of the number 17, mostly violent. Intro states it was written on Davy's 17th birthday and involved a fictional but glorified series of murders at a fashion show for a teenage magazine with a similar name to the song title. The person doing the violence was apparently trying to beat Dahmer's high score. Jeffrey Dahmer had pled guilty to killing 16 people in 1992. Great. Thanks for that. Fucking red herring central, man. What the fuck? Right. Fucking... Okay, that's the notable events, which we've kind of covered. Anonymous, Roottreemania, 5p's, Clark, the Roottree Rift, Sam Madsen. Okay. I'm just scanning this, by the way. EC, yep. Miracle hates the gays, there'll be a thing. Nope. Miracle Jr. didn't comment. Clark Raff de la Rue did some weird shit about a plated loaf, which will no doubt be like a relationship of people in fucking ages to come. Nothing there seems particularly interesting. Yep, there was stuff there. Apparently there's 8 reminders on this fucking page. Holy shit. Okay, so we're looking at the important stuff here. November Rootree was really difficult to place. Why is that valuable? Can I look it up now? Is there like more since then? No. What about... What about Brian Jones? And then we'll take his thing. Like, why is that relevant? Unchanged. New clients. Okay. So not even... So that's not even important. Chris Rafferty. Let's have a look at this. Okay. Chris Rafferty's Prodigy site seems to have been discovered by the masses. Gone are the art pictures of his cousins. Instead, there's a list of questions that people keep emailing him. Are you the son of Clark Rafferty? Yes, but I didn't grow up with him. I remember him from when I was a little kid. I moved away with my mum when I was very young. We left Pennsylvania, moved back home to Virginia. We lived there with Pete, my stepdad. My dad and I spoke a few times when I found his phone number on a check he sent us in the mail when I was 15. He was happy to hear from me, and now he calls me once a month and came to visit me at college. Tells me about things I don't remember and people like Guy Hudson and Ernie Madsen. My dad and I get along, but obviously we aren't very close. Did you ever meet the Roottrees? I used to know the Roottrees, but never the sisters. I was in the office sometimes when I was a kid. Definitely met Guy Hudson before he died, but I don't remember. Memory's weird. It's hard to know what I actually remember, and I only think I do because I have pictures. For example, I have a photo from when I was 5 and in the office when my dad and Guy was there. I made myself sick by eating chocolate, and some women who I don't know cleaned my face. Don't know if my memories of that come from the picture or not. The photo's been added for your evidence. That'll be one of the secretaries. Guaranteed. I knew Ernie had a heart problem because my dad told me on one of our phone calls. I asked him about the poison because I saw it on the Roottrees Curse website. He emailed some old stuff, including the proof. Even with the proof, the website didn't take it down. He spelled fiancé wrong. I'm not good at spelling or writing. I'm good at painting or other art. I'm going to school to learn how to edit movies. Want to make cartoons someday. Lulu is much better at spelling. That's nice. Okay, Guy Hudson, Clark, Chris, and the secretary. Probably. Secretary, maid. Another photo of him, got another photo of Clark, and have a photo of... Oh, that's just a bonus photo of Guy, so that'll be added to this pile. Cool. Okay, that was good, but not great. Come on. Right, where to now? We were reading the previously stuff, so there must be some more here. So that's 7. Okay, we've come down a level, that's good. Elias, Carl and Raina were on the cover of magazines. Lauren Rootree. Might as well look up Lauren again. She was tracked down by reporters, being one of the most upscale memory care facilities. She began suffering from Alzheimer's. There was a minor backlash towards the reporter that tracked Lauren down because they were caught standing on a ladder and holding their camera over the privacy wall to take a photo of Lauren and her son, Clark, sitting on a bench outside. What the fuck? What dickhead? Can I find that photo? What an awful man. Let's find the picture, please. I even typed it in the American way and you deny me. Damn it. Okay, that's a dead end. Okay, we've looked up Stephanie. What about Caroline Morden? Let's go. Oh shit. After the release of 6 pieces, Caroline Morden did a television interview. Someone has uploaded a partial transcript. Transcript is only her answers, is missing the questions. Fuck. This creates a somewhat confusing reading experience. Does give you a bit more history about the family members. Thanks for having me. I've never really fit into the family, so it didn't surprise me. She could have put me in if she wanted to talk about the time during my activism days when I almost got arrested for stealing the spark plugs out of all of her tractors. Really don't think it fit her narrative. Yes and no, they never tried to kick me out or send me to live on a farm, if that's what you mean. I was already pretty unpopular, and once everyone learned why I divorced my husband, few people paid me any attention. Interesting. She's my wife, not legally, but we've been together for half our lives. Call it what it is. I was 20 and just had my daughter. I hate to look back on that time because I was a terrible mother the first few years. I left my daughter with my ex-husband and followed Guy on a private jet to Europe. He lost a tooth and a client. Wait, what? I hate to look back on that time because I was a terrible mother the first few years. I left my daughter with my ex-husband, followed Guy on a private jet to Europe. He lost a tooth and a client. I found love and a better understanding of who I was. Still, in our family's eyes, his trip was somehow more acceptable. Explain that. No, I couldn't stand him. Our family wrote off his behaviour like he was some huge fan of romance or women. He didn't like the entire woman. It was doubly awkward for me because he was more supportive than most. Slowly figured out it was because he assumed I would be as shallow as he was. He was a workaholic. He seemed nice enough and did a good job. I didn't know him well. That was one of Sam's problems with our family. None of us did except Carol. Honestly, I get why she's pissed. I'd rather not speak ill of the dead, not unless you want more stories about Guy. With Carl though, all I can say is we used to be friends before they sent him to private school. Came back a lot judgier. It made sense when they made him president. He was a lot like my father after they disciplined the fun out of him. After I started protesting the farms, he stopped returning my calls. Oh well, he's harder to label. When I was a teenager, he was basically drunk or high or both all the time. He actually used to sell me pot. His problems with women were different than Guy's, but he never really judged me. I guess he knew it would be pretty hypocritical to judge anyone for anything. Back then he was destructively unreliable in every way, but nowadays he's just kind of boring and old. I prefer that to how he used to be and to Guy and Carl, but still a cautionary tale. Hope I'm never that boring and old. Fuck. It's good for insight, but that does not help me at all. Why do you keep doing this? Like, it's great, we found some more evidence, but fuck me. Maybe we can look up Jim Rootree? Might as well look up all the old family members, right? A best of album did get released to CD during Roottreemania. Oh, fuck yeah. So let's go with Best of Diamonds Dazzlers. No! I want to listen to the music. Still doing fine. There's not been any rumours about infidelity. Good on them. Nothing? Well, Diamonds Dazzlers? Maybe that's what I... Oh, for fuck's sake. Let me copy that, please. Why is it not allowing me to copy anymore? Control C. Control V. There we go. It's just the same thing. Great. Okay, who else? Sam and her father were cryptically mentioned in a book about historical letters. Maybe something on Stephanie Jones? She must be a politician now, like, she's gone on a bit more. First baby photo, that's cute. There you see a picture of their new family together in the hospital. Daughter was named after her grandmother. Very fitting considering she was born the night before Christmas. I mean, again, all good. All good, but there's not an extension here. Ah, fuck.
3 hours later.
Oofed. Right, let's go Family Man. Right, there's only 2 to get from here. I'm guessing Bess Williams is... Has she written more books? Is that the thing? Bess has a minor history with the Roottrees. Her only notable book is considered blatant propaganda. A site dedicated to hurricane statistics that also mentions the Bocadoro Library was destroyed in a hurricane. Sure, let's look that up. Why not? It no longer exists. Fantastic. You find multiple libraries in the area. According to the website for the library system in Miami, the building that it once sat is now the Miami Print Museum. States their hours and a list of exhibits. Exhibit is their courtyard, which includes a fountain as well as a statue of an unknown author. An unknown author. You're having a fucking oh my god, right. Bess Williams, Bess is Elizabeth? When was Thingy written? Is Bess Elizabeth? Shit, we can look at when it was first published, hold on. No, we can't. When was the statue built? Motherfucker. Another is a print press used by the Miami Sunday, a now defunct weekly. Okay. Can we look this up? No records that you can find online or in your periodical search. Fuck. The library was expanded again and then closed in 1963. Okay. Cuba by Cubans? It says Beth. What if it was Bess? This will be fucking ridiculous if this ends up being right. I'll be so angry. Fucking Williams, let's go. And if I put a statue in here, that is ridiculous. That is got to be a joke. Did she have an illicit affair? No. Oh my god, that took so long. Oh, she's back.
Reached out to you?
Yes.
Well, let me give you a short history lesson about the last few months of my life. 3 different people contacted me, claiming that somewhere in their history, they might be Roottrees. First, that young man, the rapper. I ignored that one. He seemed dubious. But then I saw the news.
Please tell me you're going to give me some more
terrible.
evidence.
So I began helping the others. Because my doubts with Felix were so misfounded, I ended up putting too much faith in the second person that approached me.
That was the Anonymous.
I went to the media prematurely. I admit my mistake there. But the third person who contacted me also had a credible case. Before I could help, the company got to them somehow. The fact that the family silenced them doesn't seem to fill me with hope when it comes to Clark's intentions. But
Okay.
you're making progress based on the leads he gave you.
That
It's
was
really
a
hard for me
long
to get a read on
fucking
him. I'll let you handle
time.
it.
That
I
took me
sent you
way
the
too
case I've been
long.
working on, and some company records I managed
Regina
to track down.
Clementine, Mary Beth Clementine, Company Records.
The records are quite dense, but hopefully they're useful. Good luck.
I mean, more useful than combing through whatever I've been doing for the past God knows how long. Righty folks, I will wrap up there. That was a much longer one, but we did get there in the end. Thanks very much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.